You first wake up in the morning, and right before you fall asleep at night, your brain is very susceptible. And what you decide to dwell on, how your mindset is at those times, actually have been shown to correlate with telomeres in your brain, which affects your longevity. It affects so many things in your health. So you have the power to take those few minutes and focus on good things. So I have some affirmations. The two things that have been shown to improve the length of telomeres are gratitude and purpose during those times. And for gratitude, um, and purpose, or just any positive thoughts, one of the affirmations I like to use for myself and for others is I take the next right step. And it's so simple, and just you take the step. You might feel fear, you might feel despair, you might feel grief, whatever the feeling is. It's okay. Breathe, let it go with your breath out, and feel that. Let yourself feel the feeling. Don't push it away. Don't stuff it inside yourself. No, feel it. And then take the next step, right step towards what you want anyway.
Namaste, sweet souls. My name is Shilpa, and you're listening to the Omni Mindfulness Podcast. I am a mindset and meditation coach for professional women and mompreneurs. The purpose of this show is to offer stories and content that allows you to increase your awareness of your authentic self and be inspired by connecting to the personal and professional stories of other souls. Souls who are walking the walk and living everyday human experiences with inspired intentions. These are the stories that will expand your consciousness and spark within you to ask, what if? Each season, I offer content to help you create a holistic lifestyle that embodies spirituality, mindfulness, mindset, and energy awareness. Through my conversations with experts in their niche area and solo casts from yours truly, my intention is to help you holistically revitalize, reset, and relax your body, mind, and spirit. I'm your host and founder of Omni Mindfulness. So ask yourself, what if just one story could be the catalyst to shift the trajectory of my life? What if I become instrumental in serving other souls to realize their true self? And what if my soul's higher purpose is in the realization of Omni Mindfulness joy? It's never too late to rewrite your story. And now, today's episode. Welcome back, sweet souls. This is your host, Shilpa. I wanted to share some exciting news about a little challenge I'm running as I'm trying to get more people to discover this podcast and the conversations that inspire those who value personal growth. And the best way to do that is to leave reviews. You can leave a review on Spotify, Google Podcast, or Apple Podcast. So my request to you is to leave a review if you feel that you've received any value at all from these episodes of Omni Mindfulness. It would mean so much to me if you could write a little review regarding any episode that resonated with you. Please take a screenshot of that review and email it to me at omnimindfulness@gmail.com. In return, I will offer you my one-page guide to spark your meditation practice through Sankalpa. Sankalpa is a Sanskrit word for intention setting. Along with this, you'll receive a link to my guided meditation that will guide you through an intention setting meditation, positive affirmations, which you can practice daily. I guarantee that this gift will help you start a daily intention setting practice with a spark. It is my gift for you for being a listener, being a supporter, and of course, to enable you to manifest the best meditation practice. We are now in the 6th podcast season. Each month, my guests and I explore a facet of how mindfulness applies to modern-day living. In April, my guests and I delve into the topic of eco-conscious living. The topic of courage and resiliency is covered in May, and wrapping up the season of mindfulness in June with the topic of heart-centered awareness. Stay tuned. Welcome back, dear souls, to another enlightening episode of my podcast as we continue our exploration of mindfulness during National Mental Awareness Month, it is my pleasure to introduce you to my final guest for the month of May, Dr. Daphne Erhart, an international life coach, psychologist, and world traveler who has crafted her own unique brand called Spa4theSoul. With her Soul Spa, she creates transformative experiences that nurture and empower individuals to live their dream lives. Dr. Daphne's expertise covers self-care, healthy relationships, meditation, travel, parenting, and even dating app profile advice. Her passion lies in witnessing the deep happiness and fulfillment that arise from taking care of oneself and making positive changes. Join me as we uncover the secrets of creating a fulfilling and resilient life through mindfulness and self-care. Get ready for an inspiring conversation that will change your heart, change your mind, and change your life. Please give a warm welcome to the extraordinary Dr. Daphne as we embark on this transformation journey together. Well, welcome, Daphne. I'm so honored to have you here.
Thanks, Shilpa. I am so honored that you invited me here. Thank you so much.
Of course, this is so exciting. We've been in communication for quite some time on this topic.
Yes.
And I actually feel like you would fit in with so many topics within my podcast.
Yeah, me too. I love your podcast. I've listened to a few episodes and it's amazing.
Oh, that means a lot to me. Really, it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Without further ado, maybe you can share with the audience something that may not have been covered in the intro that really gives the audience a sense of who you are and your journey at this point.
Okay, let's see. Well, my name is Dr. Daphne, as you guys know. I am traveling the world right now. I happen to be in Albania. I just got here and just getting situated in this new hotel room and everything. And I'm living mindfulness by being a traveler. In fact, I've learned that it actually requires a lot of mindfulness to travel, to be very present. A lot of things require that safety, appreciation, just knowing where to plug things, how to plug things in. Every single thing about a new country is different. So being exposed to such differences forces me to be aware. So it's almost like my year of traveling. I've taken a year to travel the world, living my dream, and taking that year has kind of forced me into this mindset that I also teach. And I have this thing called Soul Spa, which is an employee wellness program. It is very fun to do. It's fun to facilitate it because I love to help people live the lives of their dreams, live better lives from the inside out by accessing what their soul's deepest craving is, and then creating a life that feels fulfilling, that fulfills that. So that is what I'm up to nowadays with my soul spa and with my personal travel and everything like that. And I'm not sure if you have any follow-up. I'm not sure if I missed anything. I'm a psychologist, neurolinguistic programmer, a master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming. I am a meditation specialist. I create guided meditations specifically to help people with whatever they want to achieve in their life, or feelings they love, things they want to accomplish, stress reduction. Let's see, what else? I could go on forever, but I'll pause there.
Well, that was a great overview. And before we hit record, you had mentioned that you had taken some time to travel while working on Soul Spa. Now, is Soul Spa your own company?
Yes, Soul Spa is mine, and something that I have created over many, many years. Actually, in 2013, I started something called Inside Out Fitness, which is the core of Soul Spa. Everything comes from the inside out rather than from the outside in. And it's gradually evolved and developed. I wrote a book in 2018, published it. that helps people have a healthy lifestyle from the inside out. Wrote a couple more books after that. So yeah, it's my baby, my company that I've developed.
And that sounds like it's a work of passion, but I was making parallels between the fact that you're traveling the world, which has now become your soul spa, and
Yes.
you are also providing the beauty of soul spa to other souls while traveling.
Yes, exactly. So I am very passionate about what I do. And I'm also very passionate that I believe very strongly that when people teach something, they should live it first from the inside out. So I am a human. I am not perfect. I have my stressful days. I have my days when my moments throughout my life where I've gone through difficult, very difficult times. Um, and then even when I travel, it puts me in to situations that I've never encountered before. All types of situations, as you can imagine. And it forces me to grow really fast and develop my ability to handle many types of situations. So it is like my soul spot. It's my challenge, but it's also gives me a sense of inner peace in a way as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. I could just talk to you hours about just the travel bit alone, which might need to become its own podcast in the future. But why don't you just share with me, because you tied in mindfulness to the idea that you need to adapt and adjust and perhaps even be courageous and resilient as you travel because of and I can say from my own experience, when I've traveled, it's like your mind is on overload because you're processing not only a new way of communication, but also, like you were saying, just how does electrical outlet work?
Yes, exactly. And some places are easier on my system than others. And some take a lot of courage and a lot of resilience. I was in a train station. Doesn't really matter which country it is, but every country has its personality. And there's like sometimes there's cool things about that I'm attracted to in a country, but then there's also just like people have different personalities, like if somebody's, for example, my personality is usually pretty calm, but that could be interpreted as boring, for example. I don't think I'm boring. I'm not saying I am, but I'm just saying, if somebody has a certain personality, there's always the opposite within that personality that you can that it can become. So it becomes the challenge, right? So I don't even think I'm explaining this very well, but yes, there has been a lot of opportunities for me to become courageous and resilient and quickly adapt. If I'm usually very calm, as I say. So if I'm in a situation that is overwhelming and chaotic, then I have to be able to learn how to deal with that energy without letting it throw me off balance. And that takes a lot of awareness, a lot of mindfulness. It takes being able to be in the situation, be in the energy without letting it not come into me and change me in a way I don't want to. And that gives me the ability to practice from moment to moment. Hey, how am I feeling right now? Do I want more of this? Can I handle an hour of this? Or do I need to retreat and just process? And if I can handle this, how do I do this? And it's such it's not something people usually verbalize, how you handle a chaotic city, for example. But it takes like centering and experiencing and knowing, hey, all these sounds are too much for me. Let's go towards this, or I can just let this energy pass through me and not hang on to it. And then I can try new things. I can be in a situation, as long as I'm in a safe situation, I can challenge myself and I can let myself experience things I'm uncomfortable with and learn from it. One of the things that I teach about courage and resilience. So this podcast is about courage and resilience, right? And I believe courage and resilience are are like brother and sister, hand in hand. How can you be resilient without courage, without the courage to be vulnerable, without the courage to transform your fear into strength? So being resilient, there's, yeah, let me just pause there for a second.
And I like when you said that they are almost, and these aren't your words, but they're almost symbiotic. You can't be courageous without resilience. I recently saw a metaphor that really, I'm very visual. So the metaphor was visual of a rubber band, and you put your finger between the rubber band, you stretch it. And that's the resiliency element. But if you take it as a boomerang, not a boomerang, but to flick it, and if you flick the rubber band across the room, that's the courage, because it's already gained the momentum and the strength through the resiliency.
Yes, that's perfect. I love that analogy. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And to recognize that and realize that stretch, that uncomfortable stretching is the strength. It's the power that you're going to have to propel forward.
Yeah. When I hear you about the travel, hear your stories about the travel, it makes me remember the moments where the energy was something at the time when I was in my 20s. I didn't quite have the vocabulary to describe what that was impacting me with. But now, energetically, having some maturity spiritually, I'm like, oh, in those environments, I had to retreat. And that's why I took a nap when it got too loud.
Yeah, exactly. That makes a lot of sense. It's just what you
Yeah.
needed at that time.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And yeah, failing forward is something also that I'm reminded of in myself. So not necessarily with travel as much, but just in general in my life. I've had so many times where I've been I felt like I failed. I did not make it or something, right? We all have. And but I know it's probably cliche to even mention right now, but all of these very successful people, everyone has failed, quote unquote, failed. We've all made mistakes and figured out, oh, this doesn't work. Let's see what does work. And you find out that that way didn't work, but maybe part of it did, and maybe part of it didn't. Also, there's a psychological principle that when people believe they are being in a test, so it's a challenge, somebody says, hey, I'm going to give you this challenge. You're going to be in this situation, like for example, let's say I'm at a train station and I'm stuck and I don't know how to do anything and I don't know how to communicate and people are coming at me and I'm overwhelmed and I feel like I'm going to cry and I don't know what to do. If I change in my head, it can still be hard, but I'm like, okay, this is a challenge, Daphne. Pretend you're on the Amazing Race, right? Something. I
Yeah.
can switch it slightly inside rather than, you know, I don't think I can ever make it. I'm not sure, like if you switch it to a challenge internally, it can become, you respond, people respond differently and they tend to be more successful when they think of it as a challenge than if they don't realize they're being challenged. Um, and then, so in any way in life, whether someone else is challenging us or whether we are challenging ourselves, we have the power to shift that mindset and say, hey, this is going to be a challenge. I can do this. And just like your rubber band example, to think, okay, how can I make this work for me? How can I make this actually work out? It seems like a terrible thing happened, or it seems like I completely failed, but how can I switch this? What is failure? I decide what's failure or not. How can I make this work out or learn from it, work out in some way? So that is a possibility too. It's
Oh,
mindset, shifting
it's
the
a
mindset.
it's a mindset, and I know it's cliche that being in this field that you and I are in, we hear terms like growth mindset, but that growth mindset really, again, maybe it's like what you were describing. It's like, think of it as the challenge as opposed to anything else. So if you were on that show you were just describing,
Amazing Race. Yes.
I always wanted to be on that show because I love travel. And I love this idea that I can solve problems. But
Yes.
what if like these scenarios that you may be finding yourself in as you travel are really gamifications? You've heard that term, right? So yeah, you're going to the next level, you set the levels, you set the bar, and each time it's not that you're being judged from top down. It's like, how can I get to that next point in the
Yes.
evolution?
Exactly. Yeah. That's when I was thinking about talking to you today, that came to mind. It almost like a computer game, like thinking about resilience and courage. I was like, you know what? Resilience and courage doesn't really happen without challenge. How can you become a strong, resilient, courageous person without having the challenges, almost like a video game? You want that, but you also want to develop the skills to get to the next level. But you cannot really, how do you develop the skills without having the challenges? So it's something to be actually grateful for,
Yeah.
you know?
I agree with you. My son has gone through phases of having stage fear and not stage fear. And each time he on his own wants to step into that stage of life and talk or do something, I full on encourage it. But once in a while, when, and again, like adults, we go through that, self-doubt creeps in or comparison creeps in, and that makes us contract. And when I
Yes.
see him doing that, I'm like, nope, this is the challenge. This is if you take this next step, which will be the first painful step, the next practice will get easier.
Yes, that's so true. It's like a lot of self-development companies emphasize the act in spite of fear, with even with like fire walks and stuff like that. You know, feel the feelings, feel the fear, and take action anyway. Take the step anyway. In my soul spa, I have some affirmations that I use for people. And the reason I have the affirmations is because it develops when you first wake up in the morning and when you right before you fall asleep at night, your brain is very susceptible, and what you decide to dwell on, how your mindset is at those times, actually have been shown to correlate with telomeres in your brain, which affects your longevity. It affects so many things in your health. So you have the power to take those few minutes and focus on good things. So I have some affirmations. The two things that have been shown to improve the length of telomeres are gratitude and purpose during those times. And for gratitude, and purpose, or just any positive thoughts, one of the affirmations I like to use for myself and for others is I take the next right step. And it's so simple, and just you take the step. You might feel fear, you might feel despair, you might feel grief, whatever the feeling is, it's okay. Breathe, let it go with your breath out, and feel that. Let yourself feel the feeling. Don't push it away. Don't stuff it inside yourself. No, feel it. And then take the next step, right step towards what you want anyway. That's one of the affirmations I found helpful.
I love it. And I want to make sure that I highlight that for this podcast from you, because that really ties back to how I've been approaching this. So what I find sometimes is esoteric is courage. Like you were saying, how do you approach courage? Well, think of it as a gamification or a challenge. And how do you approach it more with a mindset or spiritually? I like the idea that you just described, having an affirmation, which interesting enough, is actually physiologically shifting the neural pathways like you were describing.
Yes. Yes, and the fact that our resilience, when you said my topic is resilience, I was thinking that's so interesting because resilience can be neural in your brain and mental and emotional, but when you really think about it, it's all intertwined. The same thing, your brain mental, emotional, physical. You have a physical brain too. So it's amazing.
Amazing thing. And I do what I call the holistic saturation approach daily. And essentially just think of it as I will either be reading something or listening to something or practicing it physiologically that is now sending my whole being the right information to continually keep it on path for, I would call, healing and spiritual growth.
Yeah. It sounds like you make a conscious decision to do it too, which that is courage as well. It's a decision.
It's a decision. And the courage, sometimes it could be as simple as getting out of bed, although I would like to do more.
Yes, it is. It can be as simple as getting out of bed in the morning. Um, a lot, a huge, I don't even remember the statistics, but a lot of people have experienced depression. I mean, that's a very, very common experience. And during those times, if someone is feeling in depression or sadness, even grief, whatever, just getting out of bed is the challenge. That is the next right step. It's not, oh, I am going to accomplish this huge thing at work or climb a mountain. No, get out of bed, walk to the shower. That's it. You don't have to think about the whole picture, just that right now.
Right. And like you said, that right now, which is again going back to the being in the moment and allowing yourself to feel the feelings, right?
Yes, exactly. It's all intertwined and all connected. Yes. Um, Being
So
present in the moment.
when you were describing some of the, I would say, challenges of being in a place in your life where you're traveling, it's exciting, but it's also probably challenging. Can you describe some of the things that have left you with that feel the feelings of, wow, I can keep propelling because that one day, that one experience left me, and then fill in the blank. That it's just that carries you with that positive energy.
Yes. Can I for some reason what's coming to mind is that is what a mindset of, I'm in my 40s, I'm single, and I decided to travel the world. Well, you know what? I could have thought, the grass is always greener. I am, I wish I had, a family, a home, all these things that, people think they're supposed to have. Instead of feeling, instead of viewing that as a weakness, I realized what is the actual life of my dreams? Okay. One of the many things is travel. I have always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to do this, but I either had a house payment or I was in a relationship or I had a job that was face to face and I couldn't. And then for some reason, all at once, everything shifted in my life. And I have to admit, I felt a little bit off balance in that time, even though I have the power to make whatever I want in my life. I can live wherever I want. I can have whatever I want. But when you are in a transition, everyone goes through transition shifts throughout their life. And I happen to be in one. Instead of thinking, of course, I let myself feel all the feelings. And then I realized, Daphne, this is an opportunity. See this as an opportunity. You can do whatever, you can travel. This is your push. Um, do it. So create the life you want next. So I created it and I decided to use this time to do what I've always wanted to do and travel. So that is one way I took the next right step towards my goal, even though by many people's standards, they might have thought, oh, I don't want to travel. I want to just stay here and move and find a new boyfriend or something like that. I decided to go towards what my heart really, really wanted. And I make connections everywhere in the world. I don't feel like the location of where I am keeps me from anything. It actually, I can live the life of joy and connection and happiness from wherever I am in my life. And it's something I've learned, and that's like the level I've learned at this moment, and I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. Well, you answered the question because what I was trying to get you to express was the feelings that you were aware of what you wanted to feel, and then you were able to then say, this experience that I can give to myself as an opportunity to travel will give me those feelings of connection and freedom. And
Yes.
I would say almost empowerment, because you're defining things for yourself.
Yes, exactly. I mean, at the moment when in the past, my boyfriend and I broke up. I moved from my location. My work changed, and and I realized you have the power, Daphne. You are an empowered person. You create whatever you want. So what do you want? Instead of withering up and being fearful, I experienced the fear of not having security of certain things that, make me feel comfortable. And then I felt the fear, felt whatever, and then did the next right step anyway. And I continue to do that. And I can't say it's always easy and yay me, but that's what I'm doing. That's my process. And anyone can do it with whatever goal you happen to have.
Yeah. I find it so exciting just to vicariously even hear about your journey and where you're at. Like currently you're at Albania. How long have you been traveling? Which countries have really stood out so far? Where did you start?
Oh, okay. I just got to Albania yesterday, and I started. Oh, this is May already. I started, I think, 13 months ago or so. And the first country I started with was Belize, because I felt like that was a good country to start with, a good next right step for me, because I know a lot of Spanish. My first words were in Spanish. My mom speaks Spanish. And my mom was born in Honduras, not too far away from Belize. And I've always wanted Belize was the second to last country in Central America I hadn't been to yet. It was Belize and El Salvador I haven't been to. The rest I've been to. And so I was like, hey, go to Belize, Daphne. So I went to Belize for 2 weeks, and that was great. Learned a lot. Was in 2 different places there. And then then from there, I was thinking of going to either Egypt or Jordan. There are two wonders of the world there, Petra, Jordan, and the pyramids of Egypt. And I wanted to see all the wonders of the world. But after my first country by myself, there was something that made me not feel like I wanted to go there yet. So I decided to go somewhere where I had a connection, because it's a little bit better when you have a connection in a country, even if it's a distant connection, just one person that you can ask anything, or if there's an emergency. So I decided to go to Vietnam, where I had a friend of a friend there. So I went to Vietnam next, and that was very far around the world. I ended up loving Vietnam so much. It's very safe, it's delicious, it's gorgeous. So many cute towns and cities and culture. I loved it. I stayed in Vietnam for 2 months. It was 1 month first, then I went to Thailand and Laos, and then I came back to Vietnam, something like that.
Yeah.
I really liked Vietnam a lot. And then from there, let's see, what did I do next? Oh, I can't remember. What's really funny? Yesterday I was walking down the street. I had just arrived here, and I decided to come here only one day before. I was going to go to another country, and I changed my mind the last minute, and I decided to come here. And I was walking down the street right after I landed and checked into my hotel, and I had this gap in my brain. I was like, wait, where am I? Where am I?
That would happen to me.
Can't remember the name of the country I'm in. Where am I? I don't think that's ever happened to me before.
Oh, I think that would happen to me. That is a good story, though. Now, how many countries do you think you've been to so far?
I think I've been to, well, in my life I've counted, and it's kind of fun to count, 56 in my life. In this past year or so, it's been mid-20s, 20 something, 25, 20, 30.
I'm hoping I could listen to, read about, and see pictures of your
Yes.
travels. Have
Oh
you been
yeah,
documenting it?
I have. I have a YouTube channel, travel. I do travel, meditation, and psychology. It's called Soul Spa Travel. And so after I did Southeast Asia, I went to Europe and then Africa. So I did 3 different continents so far. So, and then I just now arrived to Eastern Europe. I'm not sure how long I'll be here if I'm
Oh,
going to go anywhere else. So we'll see.
I'm just so excited to hear about all of this. So clearly there's a level of resiliency that's probably building up as a strength with each place that you travel to, each lesson that you learn. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a negative lesson. It's just building your mindset and your, I would say, the whole being.
Yes, I think so. I think it's changing me in a good way. I feel connected to the world, to people. And I feel like it challenges me because I think it's very easy to whatever country we grow up in and we live in to think a certain way because that's what I'm exposed to. But then being exposed to different ways of thinking, different perspectives, not everyone grew up the same way with me with driving on the right side of the road or with certain things being the norm emotionally or whatever. So it's expanded my being somehow. I don't think I have words for it all the time, but it's expanded me. And no matter where I am, I feel like I can connect with all kinds of people. We all have that like soul connection ability. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've experienced.
I find it so fascinating. And I like the fact that you call it soulful because it's the soulful experience, not only on a more spiritual, deeper level that you're giving outwards, but you're also receiving it from, I would say, the universe.
Yes, I feel like I'm giving and receiving, just interacting back and forth, just soul to soul with people. I might not speak even their language, but
Mm.
it's beautiful. I love it. It's such a treasure.
Now, while you're traveling, you're also able to now maintain your business online. And are you also practicing it in the countries that you go to, more like face to face?
Some of them I am, and then a lot of times it's online, Zoom. Yeah, which is nice. So if you are listening and you would like to take part in Soul Spa, I can provide it online, Zoom, or I could come to your country. I'm very flexible.
Come to your country. Yeah, that would be a great thing.
Yeah, it would
Oh,
be
that
good.
is, but yeah, I think that is nice. And I will definitely include in the show notes how people can reach out to you. I will be following you on YouTube as well, because I
Yes,
love hearing these
likewise.
stories.
Likewise, I will be following you too and connecting with you too. And I'm happy that we're both from Southern California,
Awesome.
neighbors practically.
Well, when you're back, definitely visit in Carlsbad. And I don't know if you've been around, but I'll show you around if you are
I would
interested.
love to. Yeah, I visited, but many years ago, so I'd love to come again and visit that cute. It's a cute town. I like the
Yeah,
vibe.
I'll send you some pictures later, but we just are leaving the season of the flower fields, meaning it's wrapping up. But I don't know if you've been on the Coast Highway, but you can see the flower fields, and they're like, it's like Holland. They're full bloom
Oh,
along the hill. It's
no, I have
beautiful.
not seen that. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, I'll send you a photo later, but it's
Okay.
beautiful out here. So, on that note, though, any words of wisdom for, I would say, female entrepreneurs are often my target audience, and
Ah,
even the professional ones like yourself. Anything that you feel that would give them the courage and resiliency to do the things that is their soulful calling.
yes. Well, I would say, first of all, to take care of your heart and soul and realize that treasuring whatever that deepest soul desire that you have, that is that should be the core of what you do every day, the very first thing, nurturing that fire within you, that whatever it is, because when that is ignited and when you feel on purpose and fulfilled, and like your soul's deepest desire is the life you created, is the purpose that you're going towards in your career, whatever it is, that will make the whole difference in your day, in your week, and it will not only affect you but everyone you come in contact with. So to access I do a lot of meditations and visualizations where you can get in touch with what that is, with what your ideal life is, with what, not just the picture, but what it actually feels like, what your soul's deepest craving is. And once you are able to access that and move towards that every day, you're coming from a different space, dealing with people, dealing with your business and yourself, and you deserve it. So that's what I would suggest you focus on.
That is so lovely. I certainly look forward to having you back. And we've talked about a few topics where I know you would love to discuss them.
Yes, I would love to come back to your show.
I would love that. Thank you, Daphne, for being on this show. I really received so much love and value from our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much, Shilpa, for having me here. It's nice to connect to you across the world today.
Have a lovely travel, and I will read more about it on YouTube.
Thank you. Okay, take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. Thanks again for tuning in. Check out the links in the description, and please subscribe, follow, and share, and continue to practice Omni Mindfulness.